At our anniversary dinner, my wife smiled at me and said she had a surprise. I thought it was something romantic. Instead, she told me she invited another man into our marriage. She expected me to lose control. What she didn't expect was that I would end everything that same night. I remember the exact moment everything changed. The restaurant was quiet. Soft music. Candlelight reflecting in Jessica's wine glass. 12 years of marriage sat between us. And then she smiled. Not warmly. Not lovingly. But confidently, like someone holding a secret weapon. I planned something exciting for tonight, she said. I assumed maybe a trip. A surprise. Something to fix the distance growing between us. Instead, she leaned forward and whispered, I think it's time we stopped pretending our marriage is perfect. I stayed silent. Then she added calmly, I invited someone to come over later. Someone who actually knows how to make life exciting again. The words didn't hit immediately. They sank slowly. Heavy. Cold. Final. For a full minute, I didn't move. The sound of my fork touching the plate echoed louder than the music. Jessica took another sip of wine like she had just announced weekend plans. No guilt. No hesitation. Just superiority. You've become predictable, Daniel, she continued. Safe. Comfortable. I want passion again. I looked at her carefully. Not angry. Not yelling. Just observing. Because something inside me shifted right there. Not rage. Clarity. The woman sitting across from me wasn't asking to fix our marriage. She was testing how much disrespect I would tolerate. And I realized something terrifying. She expected me to beg. I paid the bill without another word. The drive home was silent. Jessica hummed along to the radio like nothing unusual had happened. Like she hadn't just detonated 12 years of loyalty. When we pulled into the driveway, she turned toward me. You'll understand tonight, she said confidently. That sentence told me everything. This wasn't impulsive. This was planned. An hour later, I sat alone in the dark living room. No lights. Just the ticking clock and memories replaying in my head. Late nights. Secret smiles at her phone. Trips that suddenly became necessary. I hadn't been blind. I had been hopeful. And hope makes intelligent people ignore obvious truths. Headlights appeared outside. A black sports car stopped in front of my house. My stomach tightened. A tall man stepped out. Confident. Relaxed. Like he already belonged there. Then Jessica exited the passenger side. Laughing. Comfortable. Familiar. That laugh told me more than any confession ever could. She wasn't nervous. She wasn't ashamed. She believed she had already won. I opened the front door before they reached it. Both froze. Jessica's smile disappeared instantly. The man looked amused. You must be Daniel, he said casually. Like we were meeting at a barbecue. Jessica sighed. Don't make this dramatic. That was the moment I understood. This wasn't about love anymore. It was about control. She wanted me emotional. Explosive. So she could rewrite the story later. So I did the one thing she never expected. I stepped aside. And said calmly, you should leave. Confusion crossed her face. Not anger. Fear. Because calm men are unpredictable. And that night? I stopped fighting for my marriage. I started protecting my future. When I stepped aside and told them to leave, Jessica blinked. That wasn't part of her plan. She expected shouting. Expected threats. Expected a scene big enough to justify whatever narrative she had already built in her head. Instead, she got silence. And silence is dangerous. Tyler, because that was his name, shifted awkwardly. You sure about that, man? He said, trying to sound confident. I didn't even look at him. I'm sure. Jessica stepped closer to me, lowering her voice. Daniel, stop acting like this. You don't get to control me. Control. Interesting choice of words. I smiled faintly. I'm not controlling you, I said calmly. I'm releasing you. That hit her harder than any insult. They left. Not because I forced them. Because the energy had shifted. And for the first time that night, Jessica looked uncertain. The house felt different after the door closed. Quieter. Clearer. Like the air had been holding its breath for months. I walked upstairs slowly. Into our bedroom. And that's when I saw it. A second phone. Hidden inside the drawer she always guarded. I stared at it for a long time before touching it. Not because I was scared. Because I already knew what I would find. The password? Her birthday. Arrogance always chooses easy codes. The screen opened. And 12 years officially ended. Photos. Messages. Hotel confirmations. Voice notes. Not just with Tyler. With others. Different names. Different dates. Months. Not weeks. Months. But the worst part wasn't the cheating. It was the conversation thread titled, Exit strategy. Inside it, Jessica had written. He won't see it coming. If he explodes, I win. If he gets physical, I win bigger. Either way, I walk away with half. Half. That was the goal. Not freedom. Not passion. Assets. Reputation. Leverage. I sat down on the edge of the bed. And something inside me went completely cold. Not broken. Cold. She wasn't reckless. She was calculating. The dinner. The public humiliation. Bringing Tyler home. It wasn't about excitement. It was bait. She wanted me unstable. Because unstable men lose in court. Calm men win. I backed everything up. Photos. Messages. Timestamps. Cloud copies. External drive. And then I did something she never imagined I would do. I called a lawyer. At 11:42 p.m. The attorney answered. Sharp voice. Direct. Do you have proof? She asked. Yes. Then don't confront her again. That line stuck. Don't confront. Don't argue. Don't warn. Just prepare. The next morning, Jessica came home like nothing happened. Coffee in hand. Sunglasses on. Are we done with the drama? She asked casually. I was sitting at the kitchen table. Her second phone in front of me. Inside a sealed envelope. She froze when she saw it. Just for a second. But that second told me everything. You went through my things? She asked. I didn't raise my voice. You brought them into my house. Silence. She tried to recover. You don't understand. I slid the envelope toward her. I understand perfectly. She opened it. The photos. The texts. The plan. The word half. The color drained from her face. You weren't supposed to see that, she whispered. No apology. No regret. Just calculation malfunctioning. You wanted me to lose control, I said evenly. You needed me unstable. She didn't deny it. Instead, she changed tactics. You've been distant for years, Daniel. You think this marriage was alive? That's when I realized something. She was right about one thing. The marriage had been dying. But not because of boredom. Because of deception. You don't get the house, I said quietly. Her head snapped up. What? You don't get half. Her breathing changed. You can't just decide that. I already did. And that was the moment she understood. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was acting. By noon, the joint accounts were frozen. By 2 p.m., legal paperwork was filed. By evening, the locks were changed. Not out of spite. Out of strategy. She didn't come home that night. But the text started. You're overreacting. You'll regret this. You're ruining everything. No. She ruined everything. I just documented it. 3 days later, Tyler sent me a message. Man, I didn't know she was still married like that. Like that. Interesting phrasing. I didn't respond. Because men who knowingly cross lines rarely stay when consequences appear. And sure enough. Within a week, he disappeared. Jessica showed up again. This time without confidence. Without performance. Without audience. You really did this, she said softly. I looked at her calmly. You did. And for the first time in 12 years? I saw fear in her eyes. Because she finally realized something. She thought she was playing chess. She forgot I could see the board. The first court hearing lasted less than 30 minutes. That's all it took to dismantle 12 years of lies. Jessica walked in dressed in black, like she was attending a funeral. Maybe she was. Just not mine. Her lawyer started strong. Emotional neglect. Marital dissatisfaction. Psychological pressure. Words designed to paint me unstable. But then my attorney stood up. And placed a folder on the table. Photos. Timestamps. Hotel records. Messages outlining her exit strategy. The room shifted. Jessica's confidence evaporated. The judge looked at her carefully. Is this accurate? She tried to speak. Nothing came out at first. Then, it's not that simple. That's the thing about evidence. It is simple. Her plan had been built around one assumption. That I would explode. That I would yell. Threaten. Lose control. Because angry men lose credibility. But I didn't. I documented. And documentation doesn't shout. It proves. The ruling was temporary but clear. Primary control of the house, mine. Access to joint accounts, restricted. Character evaluation, noted. Her lawyer avoided eye contact. She didn't look at me once. Not until we stepped outside. Rain had started falling lightly. She stood under a tree near the courthouse entrance. Mascara faintly smudged. Not dramatic. Just tired. You didn't have to go nuclear, she said quietly. I almost laughed. Nuclear? You tried to destroy me for profit, I replied. She inhaled sharply. I was unhappy. And that justified planning my collapse? Silence. That was answer enough. You used to love me, she whispered. I did, I said. And that's why you thought I wouldn't fight back. That one hurt her. Because it was true. Tyler was gone by then. Of course he was. Men who thrive in chaos rarely stay when responsibility shows up. Jessica tried to call him during one of the hearings. He didn't answer. The illusion faded quickly. Over the next few weeks, the unraveling accelerated. Her workplace put her on leave. Not because of gossip. Because her exit strategy emails included conversations sent during company hours. Poor timing. She didn't lose everything overnight. But the ground beneath her kept shifting. And she wasn't prepared for instability. Irony. The final hearing came 2 months later. No theatrics. No screaming. Just paperwork and consequences. The house remained mine. Assets divided fairly, but not manipulated. No sympathy ruling. No emotional damage claim. Just accountability. Afterward, she approached me one last time. No makeup. No arrogance. Just a woman facing her own reflection. You'll regret not fighting for us, she said softly. I studied her. Not with anger. Not with longing. Just clarity. I fought for us for years, I answered. You fought for leverage. She blinked. You think you won? I shook my head slowly. This wasn't about winning. She frowned. Then what was it? Peace. For months later, the house feels different. Lighter. Quieter. I repainted the bedroom. Sold the old bed. Bought furniture I chose. Not what looked good for guests. The dog sleeps at the foot of the couch. The silence isn't heavy anymore. It's calm. Jessica moved into a small apartment across town. I heard Tyler disappeared completely. No more rooftop energy. No more smug confidence. Just consequences. The truth is, she didn't lose because I exposed her. She lost because she underestimated me. She thought I was safe. Predictable. Weak. But calm isn't weakness. It's control. And here's the lesson. When someone tries to provoke you into destroying yourself, don't react. Observe. Prepare. Then move once. Quietly. Decisively. I don't hate Jessica. I don't even resent her. She taught me something valuable. Never ignore the shift in respect. Love can survive boredom. It cannot survive contempt. And the night she invited another man into our marriage, she thought she was humiliating me. What she really did was free me.